Hello, welcome to Community Connection. I'm your host, Gloria Enloe. The goal of Community Connection has always been to let people know about all the wonderful entertainment options that are available in Jefferson City. There's a lot to do in Jefferson City, and sometimes you just need to know where to look to find it, so we're here to help you out with that. One of the things that really impresses me about our community is that we have a really vibrant theater community. There are several theater groups. There's always a show going on every other weekend, it seems like. And with us today, we have a really fun group from Capital City Players. We have Rob Crouse, who is kind of the man in charge of Capital City Players. And
well, they let me pretend I am.
Okay. And then we also have Audie Cline and Brandon Bise and Warren Krech. And I'd like to thank you all for showing up today.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Well, Rob, for some of our viewers who may not be too familiar with Capital City Players, can you give us a little background information?
Sure. The Capital City Players actually started in 1991, and we started doing a couple of productions a year at the local Ramada Hotel, now Truman Hotel. And 6 years ago, we were fortunate enough to get our own venue, and we now do dinner theater year-round. 9 productions a year. And in fact, we are the only dinner theater in Missouri doing year-round Broadway shows. We were fortunate enough to have several changes in the last year. One is we have a brand new caterer that is just wonderful food, Argyle Catering Company, which City Magazine, which recently had a poll, named Best Caterer in Jefferson City. Jefferson City voters voted on it and selected Argyle Catering Company as the best caterer in Jefferson City. And Capital City Players was voted the best arts entertainment venue in Jefferson City. So we got a double powerhouse there.
Right, seems like a natural partnership then.
It is, it is.
Now, you mentioned that you have your own venue, and where is that?
We are at Scheichel's Auditorium at 1200 Linden here in Jefferson City. Fortunately for us, Jefferson City Parks and Recreation, which leases the building, has leased it to us and is our partner in this endeavor.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Rob, I know that you said you do 9 shows a year. That's a lot. And a lot of these shows, I mean, I was going through the past season and then the upcoming season. I mean, these are big, elaborate musicals, a lot of them are. It looks like a lot of work goes into it.
Yes, a lot of work does go into it, as some of these people that are with us today will attest, because we just closed the first show of the season, Man of La Mancha, for this new season. And we do at least 4 musicals out of the cycle, and then 4 comedies, and 1 classic, more serious drama during the year. We also have a special show this year, in fact coming up next month, that is running for just 3 performances. One of our actors wanted to produce this show. It's a brilliant new musical by one of the new genius composers, Jason Robert Brown, and it's called Songs for a New World. And it's going to go up February 3rd, 4th, and 5th, but instead of dinner, it will be a cabaret night with fancy smancy desserts and drinks.
Well, you can't complain about that either.
Right.
I think that sounds pretty good.
A lot of our patrons, I mean, on the drink front, a lot of our patrons enjoy the fact that they can bring in, if they're interested in alcoholic beverages, they can bring in their own alcoholic beverages. So along with dinner, they can have a nice bottle of wine to accompany dinner, to make it an even more special evening.
Mm-hmm. Well, we go to a lot of Reader's Theater type events at the winery. So a lot of times it seems kind of goes together, dinner and wine and theater.
Right,
so, yeah.
Right. It does, nicely.
Well, Rob, you mentioned one of your actors, and I know that you direct a lot of these productions. Is Capital City Players a pretty tight-knit group, or are you always bringing in people from the outside to help out? We
are always seeking new people and bring in new people all the time. A lot of our people are Jefferson City discoveries. For example, in Man of La Mancha that just closed, we have a young lady who just graduated from Drury and moved to Jefferson City, that played one of the starring roles and made her debut. Dingani Bise, who is now a professional actor in LA and was a student at Lincoln University, and whose mother works here, made his debut with us.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So we always have new faces all the time, along with the familiar, wonderful faces that people are used to seeing entertain them.
Well, briefly, I do want to talk about some of those familiar faces. I know that Brandon and Warren have both been on the show before. And Brandon, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got involved with Capital City Players?
I've known all these guys pretty much all my entire life. My folks were involved in theater at a young age, and I kind of grew up in the community with theater. And these are like my second family. But when I got together with Rob and I did some Capital City Players shows, and we sat over a few drinks. After a show one night, we decided that we wanted to kind of start something that we could do a lot more of, because Jefferson City was kind of, at the time, was only very limited on what you could do as an actor to kind of show your talents and whatnot. And we kind of sat over some drinks and said, how cool would it to be? Because I used to travel at the time, and the first thing I would do when I'd come into a town that I travel into was look for live theater, because that's what I love to do. And unfortunately, as an entertainer and wanting to be involved in Jeff City being limited, if there wasn't a show for you, it was kind of like you're waiting a year before you can get back on stage. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of tired of doing that. Well, Rob started Capital City Players, and we kind of fell in love with the idea, but at that time, he was only doing 2 shows a season. Well, we wanted to have our own place to start, and we wanted to do more theater. And now you kind of look at the way Jeff City was then and now there's something going on every single weekend. And to be honest with you, I know a lot of these, if you really want to go down to it, are competitors. But as far as the way theater has evolved over the years, I'm tickled pink. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking this town needs that. A lot of people kind of thought at the time that, the town wasn't big enough to support this much theater, which if you look at it, I mean, we're filling seats, they're filling seats. Everything's been such a great joy to see everyone happy, and it's in return of all the friends and the people, the patrons that we see that come on a daily basis, to see them walk in the doors and they're just loving what we're doing. And there's also seeing other theater in town and kind of compare and talk and just to talk theater with some of these people, it's been such a joy. But I don't know if I kind of came away from your original question, but like I said, I've been involved pretty much, at a young age, and me now in my 30s, just to be involved in this organization, to see it evolve, and like Rob was talking about, having this family of where we started with, just him and I over an idea. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden now we are sitting with these guys who kind of have just came in, and just to watch it work on its own is kind of a joy, to see these people sharing their talents, coming out and, and just night in. I mean, we're doing 9 shows a year. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of work, but these people wouldn't be here if they didn't love to do it. And to watch that love, it just shows, and to have that family, it's such a joy.
Are there any shows that you've done in the past that you just really felt like you knocked it out of the park and loved?
Rob, we get to ride into work together sometimes, and we talk about what are your favorite roles to do. And there's several, and there's several performances I like. The other, who was my favorite that I watched to do, and it's so hard to pick one, and I don't think I really could. I mean, I did Jekyll and Hyde, and that took so much out of me. That's playing 2 characters at one time, and you have 21 songs in the entire show. Yeah. So to me, I think I dedicated myself to that, and when you dedicate something that you're so passionate about, I think it sticks out in your head. So I'd have to say Jekyll and Hyde for me.
Okay. Well, Warren, a lot of people are familiar with you on the radio, not so much TV maybe, yeah. But I know that you've been doing a lot of these productions, and can you tell us how you kind of got involved?
Well, I came about it in a pretty direct way. My degree is in theater from University of Minnesota. I met my wife in the theater. We were kind of theater people, and we moved here in 1984, and that was the first place we went, was the theater, to find friends and to get involved in that community, which it really is in Jefferson City. Got involved in Little Theater, took several years off because I was raising a family and doing morning radio and 10 or 11 o'clock rehearsals make that a little difficult.
It's a brutal schedule, yeah.
So I took several years off, and Rob contacted me after my kids were grown and gone, and my daughter actually was in Capital City Players from the very beginning when she was about 13 years old, from the very first there. Rob knew I had experience in theater and had a part for me and called me up, and I said, yeah, let's do this. And it's worked out very well with my schedule now because it's just my wife and I at home, so I don't have to worry, about sleep schedules quite as much as when you're raising kids.
Right.
So, yeah.
Any roles that you really have enjoyed doing in the past couple seasons?
The cliche is my favorite one is the one I'm doing right now. and that really is the way I feel about it. Once it's done, it's theater, it's over, and you move on and you do something else. And to me, the creative process is the most interesting for being an actor, is just the actual process of getting into a person's head and their personality and try to portray that on stage. I just find that whole process very interesting, and each character is a different challenge, and so I really do just kind of live in the now when I'm doing the theater.
Well, talking about living in the now, we'll talk a little bit about the upcoming show that we're here to discuss today, and that is going to be Beehive the Musical. And we have the director here with us today, Audie Cline.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us.
I was glad to join you.
Well, tell me a little bit about your background and your history with Capital City Players.
Well, I did a lot of early theater in '81 here in Jefferson City, and I think I may have been in Rob's first or second show that we did over at the Truman Hotel, what is now the Truman Hotel. And I took a 17-year hiatus for much the same reason that Warren did. Our girls were growing up, and when you walk into the house some nights and they ask, who is that guy? I realized I needed to devote a little more time to being a father. So for 17 years, I just basically stayed in that role of father. And then our girls grew up and I retired, and Brandon's mother and he were directing a show called Hairspray. And they called me up and said, we would love for you to play the role of Edna. So I took on that role, and that was 3 years ago. And then I've done I guess 3 shows since then. So that's how I became involved with it. And I knew Brandon when he was growing up. I've known Warren for years, and I've known Rob for many years. Rob and I have had the opportunity to act together on stage too. So that's how I really got involved at the theater there.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about the musical that you'll be directing?
Beehive is wonderful. It is. We went to see it last year in St. Louis, and through the whole show we were sitting there singing the songs and applauding and bouncing around, because I don't know about these other 2 guys, but I had 6 sisters, so my brother and I learned to dance at an early age, and it was to the music that is in Beehive. It's all girls music, starting from the 1960s, and it goes right through to 1970. And they're just wonderful songs that most people are going to be so familiar with. My Boyfriend's Back, It's My Party, Where the Boys Are, just on and on. We have 7 of the most talented female singers that I could have asked for in this cast, and a wonderful musical director in Brandon Sankpol. And 3 of our featured singers in the show are attending classes here at Lincoln. And I believe Amanda Andrews is the current Miss Lincoln University. Rakita Franklin is a student here as well. And Renata, can't remember. Regina Devine is working on her graduate degree in counseling here at the university. And then we have 4 other accomplished singers that are have completed this cast, and they're working right now getting this show ready so that we can present it. It's going to be a very colorful stage. The music, I think most people in the audience are going to start singing along with the music.
Right.
And we have, we end the show in the 70s with Tina Turner and I can't remember some of these names.
Janis
Joplin is going to be a big hit there
Yeah.
too. So all these songs are just wonderful songs from the 60s that people are going to really relate to. And ticket sales, we believe, are going to go fast. They are starting to gather head steam now as we speak.
Well, I'm really thrilled to hear that there's going to be a show in Jefferson City that really stars and empowers a strong female cast like that. I mean, there haven't always been great roles for women, so I think that's really cool that you guys can do that. When you do something like Beehive, that you have, so many cast members and so many musical numbers that you have to learn, what are we talking about as far as hours of dedication?
Well, I always tell people, and Rob might correct me on this, but I generally tell people that any time you're in a show, you can plan for about 100 hours worth of practice. And that's probably fairly accurate. It takes a lot of time, and that's just the time you spend at the theater working on the show. Then you have time at home memorizing lines and learning music. And it's quite intensive, but we do it because we walk out on stage and the audience appreciates us, and they show that in their applause and in their compliments. But it is a lot of work for these people. It's a commitment that they make to the community to provide good entertainment.
All right, and Beehive is coming up in February.
That's right, February the 16th, and it will run Thursday, Friday, Saturday with a Sunday matinee for 2 weeks.
Great.
So we're quite excited. It'd be a great opportunity to take your Valentine out.
Well, there you go.
And let them listen to some of the music they probably grew up on.
All right. We are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more with Rob about the rest of the season, and we'll talk a little bit more with some of our cast members and directors here about some of the projects they are working on and what we can all look forward to. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
G-morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me back. Hey, did you tell your parents about us? Let's skip first period together. Did you get all my texts? Is practice over yet? Where are you at? Are you with your friends? That's L-A-A-A-A-M-M-E-E-E. Capital X, lowercase o, capital X, lowercase o.
I love you. JK. I hate you. JK.
Are you ignoring me?
We're in a huge fight right now.
Is this something I did?
I can see your lights on. I'm coming over.
What'd you dream about? Me?
I'm lonely.
Holla back. Holla back.
Let's try something new. Nude pics. Send me some.
Text me.
Welcome home, man.
Hi, welcome back to Community Connection. I'm your host, Gloria Enloe. If you're just joining us, we've been talking with the group from Capital City Players about Beehive the Musical, which is a show that's coming up in February, and we've also gotten to know everyone a little bit. Rob Crouse is here, and he is the director of Capital City Players. And Rob, I know that obviously you got a show coming up in February, but this isn't the only one for the upcoming season you have planned.
No, I think this is one of our most exciting seasons. It's definitely one of our more ambitious seasons because we started out with Men of La Mancha, which Audie incidentally played Sancho in, so he got his fair share of that applause because they absolutely loved him. And I told you about the little cabaret show, and then Beehive. Then in March, I'm directing a new comedy that just really knocks me out of my chair with laughter. It's called The 39 Steps. And it's based on the old Alfred Hitchcock movie, The 39 Steps, and is a spoof to all the old Alfred Hitchcock movies, including The Birds and all of those things. But it's told as if Mel Brooks were telling it.
Oh,
it's
okay.
absolutely crazy comedy. Brandon is in it, and he and Ken Thompson, between them, play 100 characters
Oh my goodness.
in the play.
Jekyll and Hyde doesn't look like anything
Yeah,
now, does it?
We're going to have to come back on the air again and answer this question.
And you'll have to interview all 50 of them. And then Steve Kretzer and Laura Morris complete that cast, and I'm the one that tries to keep them under control as director. And then in April, we have one of my favorite musicals, 1940s Radio Hour, directed by Brandon's parents, Frank and Gail Bise, and it is a tribute to the golden age of radio that some of us are old enough to remember. And Warren's in that show.
Speaking of golden age.
And are you in that show?
I think I am in that show.
He thinks he's in that
I don't
show.
think
He's
I had
gotta
a
check with
choice
his
to be
mom and
there.
He
dad
just shows up when we tell him to,
to
right?
find out. Yeah, when mom and dad call, he comes.
Yeah, I have to.
And so anyway, but you'll hear some of that great 40s music like Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy, which is like, you know, my favorite. I just start jitterbugging when I hear it. So anyway, so we got that great thing. Then we've got a new play called Superior Donuts that was written by Tracy Letts that wrote August Osage County. But this is a comedy. And it stars Tom Durkin, who was a professional actor in LA and has moved back to Jefferson City, was a professional actor for many years, and brings back former Lincoln student Ngani Bise, who is now appearing on TV in Harry's Law, the TV series in LA, and he's coming back on hiatus to star opposite Tom, and it's about a donut shop owner who hires this young black man, and they don't get along at all. There is a culture, generational clash immediately. And Warren, you're in that show too, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Warren is in Superior Donuts. See, I'm batting 100. I'm getting them all right. Then in June, we are one of the first people in the country to do the musical Legally Blonde, the musical, which if people have seen that delightful comedy, the storyline is exactly the same. You're going to want to bring your young girl and young lady to see that because it's great comedy and the music they've added is tremendous. I call it on a par if people saw The Wedding Singer that Brandon directed several years ago. It's that kind of contemporary, high energy, wonderful music.
I was gonna say that's pretty new because I
Yeah.
remember when that made its Broadway debut. So.
And then True West, a classic by Sam Shepard, and Brandon Bise and Ken Thompson play comic feuding brothers in that, and Warren Krech is in that one.
I'm their agent, yes.
He is their talent agent in that one. So I'm getting them all right. And then we close our season with Avenue Q, which is another exciting new musical. And if you've never heard of this one, I mean, I would see it every chance I got. It's like Sesame Street for adults. It's going to be a real challenge for the actors because they have to learn how to manipulate puppets and do all the singing and character work with the puppets on stage. But you don't notice the people once it started. You're concentrating on the puppet. It's the most amazing show I've ever seen. But it is absolutely not for children because these puppets are going to do things that no child should ever see.
Well, and the man behind Avenue Q is also behind the Book of Mormon.
Yes,
correct.
Yeah, with Trey and Matt on
Absolutely.
that. Yeah, and
Yeah,
so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So
kind of, if you know that kind of comedy and that kind of thing, is kind of what you can
If
expect.
you like South Park, then it's definitely going to be for that.
yeah, but it is one of the hottest shows around. When the last time we saw it at Jesse Hall in Columbia, it was packed to the rafters.
It's a cult following. I
Yeah,
mean, it really
Yeah.
is.
yeah. I saw it. I did a little cheer when I saw that.
Yeah,
So I was like,
exactly.
I have to see that.
So I think we have a tremendous season and a very ambitious season, and with things like Avenue Q, it's definitely, and 39 Steps and some of those, is definitely going to be a challenge for our actors. But let me tell you, I have no qualms with the talent like that you see before you hear, and just a sampling of that, of what people are going to see.
And I want to add with Rob, I don't think we've ever had a season that really has ranged for all of our folks, meaning, you know, there's something for everybody. The teenagers, we have some for the more risque theater that like to, you know, have that humor and Avenue Q. And we have, you know, the golden era with 1940s. I mean, this is the season we hit it all. I mean, we're trying to cover, you know, all genders,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
and
very
ages.
varied.
Yeah, it's very varied. So it's nice when you can find a season and get everything locked in like that. And especially with these guys, these talented guys, it's going to be, this season's going to be a hoot.
Well, I noticed that, Rob, and you're going through this, Warren's in a lot of the shows, Brandon, you're in a lot of the shows. Do you think that it helps your performance at all when you're working with people that you've worked with in the past and kind of have proven chemistry and a good partnership?
I think so. You get a real comfort zone with other actors. As Audie said, you put in probably 100 hours, you know, working with someone, and you can streamline that process a lot when you kind of know the other actor's process that they're going through. That's not to say it's not fun to work with people you haven't worked with before, but you get a comfort zone, and we tend to rehearse pretty quickly and pretty intensely. Rehearsal periods don't last very long, maybe a month or so, 6 weeks maybe to put up a show, which for amateur theater is pretty quick. So it's pretty intense. So it's nice to work with people you know.
Right. Well, Rob, if people are interested in maybe getting on the stage or working behind stage or getting involved with Capital City Players, what should they do?
Well, they can call and leave word on our ticket line, and you can get tickets as well, or get any kind of information by calling 573-681-9012, or we have a website as well. And you can get on there and or email and leave a message for us. Or you can drop by the theater about any night, because normally we're there during that time.
We also Facebook too, so we have a Facebook page that will link us back to the website if anybody's Facebooker.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of our audience right now.
Right,
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we might also add that before Beehive opens, people can also still get season tickets. We have taken the Man of La Mancha show off the season ticket price, and so they can see the remaining 7 shows at a discounted rate, and they get first choice of seats for every show.
And I understand that seats go fast too, because you were mentioning that there's a lot of people coming in from all over the place to see some of these shows.
There is. This has been one of the pleasant things. Jefferson City Visitors and Convention Bureau has been very helpful to us, because they said one of the problems they have of bringing people to Jefferson City is not during the day, because there's all the wonder of the Capitol and the penitentiary and the mansion and all of those things, but they go, there's nothing here to do at night for visitors. And so because we're doing theater year-round now, we're providing venues for them to tell people about, and we're seeing it in our attendance. We have people that have found us through the Visitors and Convention Bureau that are traveling through from New York or Texas. One couple from Texas, because we were doing a Greater Tuna show and they dearly love them, changed the route of their trip so that they could see the show. People from California, bus tours coming in. So, I mean, we're also trying to help promote tourism in Jefferson City as well.
Well, that's fabulous, and I'm glad to hear that, and good luck with the upcoming show and the rest of your season as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'd like to thank our viewers at home for watching Community Connection. Don't go anywhere. This show is over, but we have more great JCTV programming coming your way. Thanks so much for watching.